In real estate, they say it's not about what you know, but who you know. And in this Proximity podcast, we have a no BS approach. We're bringing you industry leaders with real solutions and real actionable items you can implement for your real estate business. Grab a pen and paper and listen in while we get up close and personal with some of the best in the biz.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Proximity Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Daniel here, and I am here with Mr. Cool Hat Man, Mr. Jake Dixon. Man, I love your hats, man. Like, you're on this roll with hats right now.
It's kind of become a collection thing for me, I guess. I especially love minor league hats, minor league baseball hats. So if any of you watching or listening to this have a minor league team in your area, hook a brother up. Give me one of those cool hats. I'll pay you for it. Maybe.
Well, hey man, I have a surprise for you. So I know, like, we kind of goof around. We like to have fun, right?
A little bit of fun, yes.
Just a little bit. Like, life's not fun if you're life's not whatever. It's you gotta have fun while you're living, whatever it is. I found some stuff. So we've had some like fun little intro music. I wanted to get your flavor. What do you think of this? Here, I'm gonna drop something on you real quick.
Is this like a walk-up song? I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like our intro song to the podcast.
Yeah, a little bit. Wait. Picks up. So there you go. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mix it up a little bit with some music today and drop something in there. So
I like your style, Nathan.
Scale of 1 to 10. What do you think?
No, I'm jiving with that. I can get used to that.
Okay.
Is that our official walk-up song though?
We could do walkout songs. I like this idea. Let's go there.
Let's do it.
Well, hey, if y'all like that song, we love, like, scale of 1 to 10. Drop a number down, like wherever you're listening to this, on the YouTube, like on the whatever channel you're on, in the Facebook group. We'd love to hear you. And speaking of Facebook groups, if you haven't joined the groups, go join them. Agent Talk, Broker Talk on Facebook. Go check them out. All right. But that's it. That's all I got. So Jake, what are we talking about today?
Well, dude, you tell me. There's been a little life event that you recently participated in yourself as it relates to real estate. So why don't you tell the viewers and listeners here what's new and exciting in your world?
Man, okay, we'll go there. We'll talk about the fact that we just bought a house, y'all. We just bought a house. It is July 2023. Mark it down. We bought a house. So
hang on. You bought a house. Well, first of all, congratulations are in order, sir. Congratulations to you, your beautiful wife, your amazing child, all the things. You're going to create a lot of experiences there. But I got to ask maybe like what any normal person listening to this would ask. And I'm kind of being sarcastic here. What on earth are you thinking? Nathan Daniel, isn't the market crashing? Aren't interest rates too high? And all this other fear that we're fed through media? Why would you buy a home right now in this market?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I know we have an episode, right? We have an episode where y'all did a live Q&A session. And I think one of the things that came off right off the bat was don't get caught up in the market drama. So if you didn't listen to that one, go listen to that one. But I'll go back to the first of the year, Jake. Like when we were doing, like, we're talking about like, what are we going to do this year? And what's the accomplishments of the year? And for the last probably 3 years, this one has been on the list of buying a house. And I remember actually going in and you and I having some conversations actually back in like October, November. I'm like, 2023 is going to be the absolute freaking best year ever. Absolute best year ever. And people were going, wait, what? No, I'm like, it for me at that point, it was all about the view. It was all about like, here's my mentality going this year. I don't care what happens. Like the whole thing could come crashing down, like the world around us, economy, whatever, but it's still going to be the best year ever. So,
and again, I'm being a little facetious here, but those of you who don't understand my type of humor yet, you'll eventually get it. But yes, Nathan, of course I said all of that in jest that, look, people are still buying and selling homes. The sky is not falling. None of us can necessarily control what the economy is doing and all of these things, but we can control the here and the now. And what I can appreciate, and to kind of turn this into a lesson or something deliverable through the form of a podcast, what I basically heard, and again, I've known you for a while, you have talked about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Upgrading your lifestyle, creating new memories, having more space and elbow room. So as your family grows, you have the space to do that. And to make a lesson out of this, and just as a friend where I'm proud, you said yes to something. You said yes to yourself. You said yes to your family. You said yes to creating experiences. And as Sir Isaac Newton says, I quote this a lot out of the fear of maybe even sounding smart for a second. He said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which means when I say yes to something, that means I'm saying no to something else. So when you just said yes to family, experiences, your own goals and dreams, what you just said no to was all the fear that we're being fed in any social media or television channel you tune into. And what do you say to that? What led you to saying yes and betting on yourself despite the quote unquote fear that exists out there?
Man, I think it was, this was a long time coming. This was like a 3-year, we've been actively looking for 3 years. And, we know what's happened over the last 3 years. It's been a tough market. It's been like from competition wise. And yet we were optimistically waiting for that right house. So one, we had patience. We had some patience attached to it. And I think the next thing was actually looking at, big thing for me is legacy and like you've said, experience. I think we made a decision a couple of years ago to actually buy a travel trailer, right? Like we actually bought a travel trailer and we go camping and do all that fun stuff. And, one thing, and this is since I was like 14 years old. So I'm going to like go back to 14-year-old Nathan. One of my things was like, I want to be present. Like I want to be there and, allow my family to fully experience me and be fully and present with them.
Yeah.
And, I was a little fearful back then of getting a little camper, I mean, we bought a nice one, right? We bought a nice one. And, I kind of gave myself a little confidence boost. I was like, it's going to be okay. And then, all of a sudden we're like, you know what? Right now, Callan's 6 years old, playing baseball, like he's moving up to coach pitch, all this kind of stuff. And I'm looking at our backyard that we have, and we live in a neighborhood where I can basically do this and touch the neighbor next door.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, he doesn't have any room. Like there's no room to really get out there and go throw the ball and let him just like launch them and like get out there and hit some off the tee and see how far he can hit them and stuff. And I was like, man, am I getting in the way of his potential growth, right? Like, am I letting my fear actually potentially stunt his growth? And I'm like, okay, I got to get out in front of that. I can't let that happen. And I'm like, and so I started thinking to myself, what would it be like? Like, what would it be like if I went outside and we threw, we played catch beyond our fence that we currently have? Like, what would that experience be like? Or what would it be like because there's a pool? Like, what would it be like to have him, instead of us going to somebody else's house, what would it be like to have like the baseball team come to our house and go for a swim party and stuff? And building this place, this fortress of solitude or whatever we want to call it, of like, hey, I want this to be a place that he's comfortable with, but we also get to experience life together and grow up together. And when I started thinking about that, I was like, man, I'm robbing us for every day that we wait. And so,
well, I think it's a great reminder as to what most people listening to this podcast can associate with, which it's tempting. It's easy, perhaps, for someone out there to become numb or borderline desensitized to what we do. And when you go through that experience yourself, in this case, buying a home, you're reminded, oh my gosh, I'm not just selling somebody a property. It's, 4 walls and a roof kind of thing. That is an investment, yes, in their wealth. However, what you just did was also invest in experiences. You invested in time with your family and things that they're never going to, literally where we grow up and create those experiences is what we remember for a lifetime. And you said yes to that, making an investment into them just as much as the financial component to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was some give and take to it, right? Like there's some give and take to it. I mean, again, going from a house where I could touch the neighbor next door by just spreading my arms out to go into something that, I mean, we have over 2 acres, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got a little space. And so with that, I'm like, okay, I haven't I'm calling myself out here. I haven't mowed the yard in like 10 years, 12 years. So, but like, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get out there and do it again. I'm gonna have to get out there and do it again. But how can I use that time for an experience? And I'm like, you know what? Like one thing I miss actively selling real estate and getting to go out and drive around and stuff was Automobile University, right? Zig Ziglar right there. Like, man, I could get out there on the mower, slap some headphones in and, really kind of zone out. And that's a great place for me to potentially do that. So, I'm saying no to have somebody else mow the yard, but I'm gaining back, like, how can I pour into myself during that time with intention?
Well, it's just like anything. It's the opportunity. I can see it as an obstacle, or I can see it as an opportunity. The choice is mine, depending on the lens that I see things through. So all of that true, yes. And somebody else listening to this might think, "Oh my gosh, what an amazing opportunity to teach your son, how to mow a yard, how to take care of things as a homeowner." Like I know at his young age, maybe that's not like exactly applicable, but those are the lessons that start young at an early age that you can now instill in him. And so again, I want to kind of parlay this into a lesson. Those of you listening or watching this right now, here's what I want you to ask yourself based on what Nathan just shared. So ask yourself, what do you need to say yes to right now? What area of your life do you need to lean into right now? After 3 years of mulling it over or whatever reasoning, Nathan chose to say yes. So where do you need to say yes right now? Where are you letting fear dictate things in your life? We're all subject to it. We're all guilty of it. So it's not is there fear holding you back? No, identify, take the magnifying glass and put a spotlight on it and ask, where right now is fear showing up that's prohibiting me from saying yes or going after what it is I want? If you can answer those things, you're well on your way to whatever breakthrough. It doesn't have to be buying a house and so philosophical, right? But somewhere right now, and I want you to identify that. What are you saying no to that you need to say yes to? Where is fear holding you back from getting what it is you want?
Man, there's so many. I just a couple of examples are coming to mind.
Let's go.
I think a big topic right now, and this is a big deal, and wasn't expecting to go here today, but mental health is a big deal, right? This is where we're on that topic right now, where mental health, if you say no to yourself personally too often, that's not good, right? So like, how can you find the small wins throughout the day? And this is something personally, you and I have had more conversations around this. Maybe that's a whole nother podcast episode, but where can you find a small win? Where can you say yes to yourself? Like if it's like, hey, I'm going to go fishing for a little bit, or, hey, I'm going to go to the salon for a little bit, or I'm going to go watch a movie, or, I'm just going to unplug for a little bit and go ride on a lawnmower for an hour or whatever it is. Like, where can you find your small wins and work on yourself? Because you can't pour from an empty cup.
It's a place to be grounded. Like for you, if that mechanism is, hey, you know what? I work so hard, and you do. And then when you go home, you just want to be home. Like after all, that's why I work so hard, is for my family to create and enjoy those experiences. But again, for however this applies to somebody's life watching or listening to this, those things in Nathan's example today, it's his home, literally his home. For you, maybe it's a walk around the lake or a walk down that trail and back. I don't know, but those things are for you. You're making yourself a priority. So it's just as much physical health as it is mental health, and recentering you. It literally will ground you where you are in this whirlwind of chaos. And I don't mean to make this episode a life coaching episode. Sorry, not sorry. But this is the stuff nobody talks about or is ashamed to talk about, because we put on this facade that everything's great, everything's perfect, and our proximity promise is not just bringing real people and industry experts to you, but real topics. We promised you in the intro, this is the place with no BS. And so we can talk about these things with no fear or judgment around it.
Yeah. And this didn't happen overnight, right? Like this was a long process for me to get through, to be able to confidently walk into this. Like, it was cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I feel really good about this decision.
Yeah.
And yet it has taken some time for me to get there. So don't be discouraged.
Sure.
If you are saying yes to yourself and you have a little bit of guilt inside, or you feel
Mhm.
something inside that it's like, man, am I going to pour into myself or whatever it is? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, keep going, keep saying yes to yourself, keep going for it.
Well, exactly. And ask yourself those couple of questions. And here's some more. And this isn't the first and won't be the last time. In fact, on a recent episode, when we shared a live Q&A session, I gave some of these questions again, but I'm going to do it now anyways. For areas of your life, think of the wheel of life. It's not just business and financial. It's health. It's spirituality. It's relationships. For every key category that's important to you in your business, just list them on a sheet of paper. And then for each one of those key categories, I want you to write across the top of that sheet of paper, KISS, KISS. But it's not keep it simple, stupid. So if this is your first time hearing it, this is what we mean. You've got on the left-hand side from top to bottom, all those key categories: health, fitness, spirituality, relationships, on and on and on. Across the top, you've got KISS. The first question is, what do I need to keep doing right now? What do you need to keep doing? It's working. Keep going. Don't let up. If anything, double down on it. And you would ask that question, what do I need to keep doing, for each one of those categories along the left-hand side of your paper. Then we move to the I. What is it I need to be more intentional about? Go through each one. When it comes to my relationships, where do I need to be more intentional? When it comes to my health, how do I need to be more intentional? You guys get the point. The S, the first S, stands for stop. What do I need to stop doing? Right now, cut it out. And then the last S, of course, is start. What do I need to start doing? It's not always the yin and yang, complete opposite of each other. It could be, though. So just because you said I need to stop doing this doesn't mean the flip side of that is your answer to the start doing, but it could be. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. So I'm curious your perspective, Nathan, because you're a big believer in the KISS questions that we have our partners do and stuff, leading these exercises. How does that help shape you, your mindset, your relationships, your business, let alone how you've seen it help other people? Just real quick, maybe.
Well, I think what it does for me is it slows me down, right? It slows me down in a good way. I'll say it slows me down in a good way, because we sometimes get our blinders on and we're just go, 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 go. It's like, whether it's running the business or running the family or doing whatever it is, like, we all are busy. We all have life going on, and with all the noise and stuff that's out there, like, slowing down to actually analyze all of these different parts of our world, it's actually very healthy. So for me, it allows me to slow down to actually speed up.
Tell me what you mean about that. I know what you mean, but let's assume somebody doesn't know what you just said there. What does that mean?
So what it allows me to do is it allows me to actually, like, take stock of where am I at, right? Allow me to slow my thoughts down to actually put them in order, because, for me, like, my mind runs at 100 miles an hour all the time. And yet, when I do this exercise, and I may just do one exercise, like, whenever I do this, it may just be in one particular area. And yet with that, I know that one thing actually affects everything else. So if I can really get intentional and go through those KISS questions, slow down and analyze my thoughts, I then can put a plan in place for that particular thing and know everything else is going to be affected in the better because of it.
Forces you to watch the game film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And to watch the game film, it allows you to be sharper the next time you're out there on the field and be able to make real-time, quote unquote, in-game adjustments. And so we just came off, at the time of recording this, around the halftime point of the year. We said, to a group of leaders and agents, that any coach can enter a game with a game plan, right? You drew up some strategies. You thought this is what it was going to take to win the game, but it's actually at halftime where the game is won. It's the second half. And great coaches, the greats, the legends, they'll tell you it's halftime where they took the game film, if you will, on the first half, made those adjustments, went out there and applied them to go win the second half of the game. That's what makes them champions, because any coach or player can just enter a game with an idea or a plan, but if they're not adjusting along the way, you're going to get beat.
Yeah. I'm actually going to reference a book that you referred to me a while back. Um, so with this, where it really clicked for me and where I really got intentional with this was when you recommended a book called The Untethered Soul. Remember that book?
Oh yes, I
Such a
do.
great book. Such a great book. But in that book, it talks about how I love movies, right? Always love movies. But it talks about in one moment of that book that how you disconnect from your problems, and versus being in the problems. What if you actually watched your situation that you're in from a movie perspective, right? Like you pull yourself out, sit yourself in the theater, and you actually watch your life on screen. Imagine what the perspective is different. Like how would you handle things differently if you had that perspective versus being right in the grindstone of it? Pull yourself out of it, slow yourself down so you can speed yourself up.
That's one of my traps as a coach. So if I ever had the good fortune of coaching somebody listening to this or watching this, cat's out of the bag. But I might role play this with Nathan. If I was coaching him and he was struggling with something, I might ask Nathan, okay, well, Nathan, because I want to give him this out of body experience, snap out of it. So I might say to Nathan, well, Nathan, let me ask you a question. If I was your best friend or I was going through something similar to what you just described, what question would you ask me?
Mm-hmm.
And he would say whatever it is he said. Well, that's a trap because next thing I'm doing is I'm taking that question and I'm asking it right back to him. So you would ask me that as your best friend. Okay, got it. Well, Nathan, I'm going to ask you that same question right now. It's coaching yourself, right? We're whole. We're not broken. We don't need fixed. We're resourceful people. We're creative people. A lot of the answers we have, or at least our intuition, our discernment is nudging at you a little bit, but it's whatever fear. So I go back to what I asked you earlier. What do you need to lean into?
Mm-hmm.
Where in your life do you need to start saying yes? And where in your life are you allowing fear to hold you back? Right? Identify those things, because if not, they'll continue to grow and manifest in the deep, dark corners of your life until they grab root and it's too late.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we can say any more. I know we could. I know we could keep going with this. Yet I want to challenge everybody to do what Jake just said, and go take that exercise and really think and consider what's in your world right now that you need to really be analyzing.
Well, I don't know how we went from you buying a house to create memories and experiences to talking about roots, but I'm here for it.
That was fun. Yeah, that was interesting. So, but yeah, it's been quite a whirlwind. I'll end this on a fun note. So anybody that's out there listening right now, if you want to plus one, you want to figure out a way to plus one an experience with a child at closing. Okay, here you go. So Mallory actually came up with this. So shout out to Mal for this. She was like, how can we get Callan engaged at the closing table so that he has some ownership and stuff? And people out there may be like, oh yeah, we have stuff like that. So what we did, I actually talked to my lender and the title rep, and I was like, hey, I'm putting this certificate together. I threw something together on Canva real quick, and I threw it out there. And I was like, hey, can y'all print this off, but make it a big deal? Because like he's going to be there at closing, all this kind of stuff. And so he sees mom and dad signing all the papers and all this kind of stuff. And he's over there on his tablet, but they're like, hey, we're not done. Actually, we have one more document, and this is for the entire family. He kind of looks up and he's like, what? And we're like, oh. And so then they proceed to explain, like, this is actually a certificate of closing in honor of you and getting your new home. And this is the address on this date. So this is something that you could frame in your house, but it's more than, mom and dad are working to pay for the house, but it's up to the entire family to take care of it. And so this is an honor for and a commitment to each other to be able to take care of this house. And I mean, so I signed it, and then Mal signed it, and then the title rep signed it, our lender signed it, and then Callan was the last one to sign it. And he had to write his little name on it. But I thought, what's such a cool experience to tie it all back and just be able to go like, you have ownership in this too, bud, and like bring him into that experience. So if you want that, let me know. Like we're happy to drop that link in there if you want that. But
well, look at the cascading effect that when you made one simple decision, you said yes to something you wanted, something you've desired for years. the ripple effect and the lessons and other blessings that come along with it. It's so cool. There's so much packed into that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Well, this was a fun conversation, and hopefully somebody's taking away some good thoughts with this. Maybe it's sparking some questions for themselves, and hopefully somebody listening to this right now is needing to hear this, and you take action with what we talked about today, and slow down, ask yourself those simple questions, and go take action on you. Okay. Go focus on you. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Proximity Podcast. We'll catch y'all later.
Thanks for listening to the Proximity Podcast. We hope you'll implement the real solutions and real action items into your real estate business. Be sure and subscribe to get updates on new episodes, and join us on Facebook, where industry professionals go to collaborate. Don't forget to hit us with your feedback and likes. We'd love to hear from our raving fans. Until next time.